Well, it's Valentine's Day, and if you love sports, you're in the right place. It's Dave Day with Standard Speaker sports editor Dave Seaman. Dave, was it you who coined the term March Madness down at March Hall? I read it in the Standard Speaker once. I don't know if it came from generations before that, but I like to use that every now and then.
I've used it before, whether I was the first one to use it or not. But yeah, it applies because it is still one of the best places to watch a playoff basketball game. If you ever have a chance to get down to Pottsville, I don't know if there are any newcomers in town who haven't had a chance to see a high school basketball game in Pottsville, but it looks as good now as it did back in the early 70s when it was opened. And I've seen a lot of playoff games there over the years as a fan and as a reporter. And you watch a lot of teams hoist trophies because if you want to be successful in March and you're a successful basketball team on the high school level, that's where you want to play.
And if you've never seen a game there, go tonight because the Schuylkill League girls basketball playoffs taking place at 6 p.m. Monoy area, the Division III champ, will take on Wild Card Pine Grove. North Schuylkill, the Division I champ, will take on Division II champ Minersville at 7:30 right after that. And Dave, when I was writing a scoreboard this week, I was going to say that it's a collision course, North Schuylkill and Monoy area, but then like Lee Corso, I thought not so fast. And you kind of said the same thing. This is a good field.
Minersville, we can't forget, won the state championship last year. Yes, they lost a lot of players from last year, but the tradition is there. They're not going to give up their titles without a fight. Pine Grove, traditionally one of the strongest teams in the Schuylkill League. Talk about state championships. They have them in they have trophies in their case for their successes in the basketball court too. So they're not going to back down against Mono area. And of course, Mono area, they have state championships. They have district championships. You get the Schuylkill League playoffs. It's and you got to handle the March Hall element too. And Mono area's been there before. North Schuylkill's been there before. And of course, they'll have Minersville and Pine Grove.
It will be March Madness, and the championship will be Friday at 6 p.m. Dave, Penn State Hazelton men's basketball, we did a story here on SSPTV News earlier this year about how many injuries they've had, how they've been battling all season long, and stayed in the playoff race. All of a sudden, they've made the playoffs as the number 6 seed for the Penn State University Athletic Conference playoffs, and it's been a wild ride getting there, and they needed some help, and it's been a wild week for them.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. They had to win, 3 games in 4 days just to get a chance to get in the playoffs, and they win on Friday night against Penn State Schuylkill on the road, 123-117 in triple overtime. You lose that game, then your playoff hopes are kissed goodbye. But then they win that game. Then not only that, they had to go on the road to suburban Pittsburgh to play New Kensington the following day. They come away with a win there. On Monday, they return home for a makeup game against Mont Alto. They win there. But that's not it. They also had to get help from, I believe, Penn State Lehigh Valley had to beat Penn State Du Bois and Penn State Fayette, another team that was contesting for that last playoff berth. They ended up losing to Greater Allegheny on Monday evening, so that opened the door for the local Lions to get in the playoffs, and they took advantage of the opportunity.
And you're talking to Jeff Rush. We'll see an article in the Standard Speaker.
There will be an article in the Standard Speaker, yes, and in advance of the game too. And we're going to have Steve Stallone cover the game this evening at Penn State York for coverage of the local Lions.
Excellent. And another championship handed out, Hazelton area winning Division I of the Wyoming Valley Conference in boys basketball. Dave, I guess number 1 on the checklist done for this year's team as they look to go on to bigger things.
Yeah, that's definitely, and Mike Joseph adopted the James Franklin philosophy this year, 1 game at a time, 1-0. Is that everything he tweets is always hashtag 1-0, and that's, right out of the playbook of James Franklin. You can't look past any other team. Obviously, there's a lot of expectations for this team this year, but to keep his team grounded, he's making sure that they're focused on each and every opponent. You clinch the division. Now you have a game against Dallas on Thursday evening. Dallas is the second best team in Division I all season. And I think the Cougars remember what happened in their last game last year. They lost to Myers last year in their last game. I think they want to go undefeated at home and set the tone right for the upcoming District 2-4 playoffs.
And you can read the recap of the Hazelton area game against Pittston area where they clinched it in today's Standard Speaker. Well, Dave, I've been watching the Olympics, and Adam Rippon, 3rd place in men's singles during the team competition from Clark Summit. And I watched his performance, Dave. It's available on YouTube. Simply amazing. Go again and check it out. Afterwards, it was really his interview that I loved. I don't know a lot about skating, but I do interview a lot of people, Dave, and I thought, I'd like to interview this guy. Have you ever watched somebody and think, oh man, it would be fun to sit down with them and have a little talk?
I think like Muhammad Ali would probably be the all-time great. I was fortunate enough to see him when I was a young kid. I got to see his camp. My father took us to see him work out with a young Larry Holmes at that time, and a lot of other older boxers. My father recognized their names, but Muhammad Ali held court with a lot of youngsters, including my brothers and myself. to watch him, in his prime was something that I'll always remember. And to have a chance to be able to interview him, I think would have been a fantastic interview.
I love going on YouTube and watching old interviews with Muhammad Ali. Well, we hope you enjoyed this interview here with Dave Seaman. Read his work in the Standard Speaker.